Having a successful business podcast breaks down into 4 basic pillars. That's for the thousands of different things, the little nuances of stuff that you can get all particular about and spend hours on late at night trying to make the best thing possible. But it all breaks down into really 4 simple, easy pillars. So what I want to do today is walk through those pillars. So if you're thinking about how can I grow my show? Why is my show struggling? What do I need to do next? You can look at these 4 pillars, evaluate your podcast, and see what needs doing. So it goes in order with the 4 pillars. It's purpose, money, message, and process. So as we go through this order, let's start with number 1 and talk about purpose. So this is the foundation of a great podcast. You need to have a clear vision of what you're looking to do, who you're trying to help, the kinds of things that you're going to talk about to help those people. As a podcast, it really comes down to what is the title of your show? What's it called? Is it obvious? Are you solving the problem? If for somebody who needs your help would be the ideal listener for their show. There's hundreds of thousands or millions of podcasts out there. What makes them stop and look at yours and go, oh, this is it. I've got that problem. I should check out this show. Is that obvious in your title, in your image, in your description of the show? And is it clear in really the kinds of categories that you cover? A lot of podcasts cover 15 different things, and you really want to boil it down to 1. What is your target audience? What do you talk about consistently? And from that major topic, all of the little subtopics that come out episode by episode. So that is what purpose is to the base level of defining your show and making sure that it's well expressed to your target audience. Beyond that, when it comes to purpose, what are your goals? Like, what makes this successful? What are the kinds of things you're striving to do with this podcast beyond get listeners? Because especially for business podcasts, and we'll talk about money in just a moment, getting listeners, like big volumes of it, should not be your expectation right away, and it's not how you're going to make money right away. So what are other things for your goal standpoint that you can actually focus on and achieve? And with that, that should give you a sense of alignment. And alignment being that what you do as a business owner and how you help people is very much connected to the podcast. It's easy to see why you do that podcast. In fact, it might even be the same branding. So whatever your business is called might be the name of your podcast. That's up to you and your specifics to go and figure that out. For us, our show's called It's Not Just Talking. We are SBX Productions, but you know what's happening on this show. We're talking about business podcasting, and that's what our business does. So all of these things, evaluating your mission, who you're talking to, the kinds of problems you're solving, it gives you alignment, and that is what purpose is all about. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is money, because you did this to make money, right? So, okay, how are you making money for the business? And ideally, you have a product, you have a service, whatever you're selling, and the show is based around that, right? All the things that you're discussing day to day, the different topics, it's not just that overall category. Let's say you work in AI, right? So you're going to have a show that's about AI productivity. Well, there's a million things you could talk about in AI productivity. There's different ways to send prompts. There's different kinds of software to use. You can break down AI bot by AI bot as all this different competition comes out. You can talk about government legislation or how it compares to employees and the hiring costs. Like, there's a million places to go, but it's all centered under that umbrella, and it's based on your services, because every time you talk about those things, you can go, and by the way, I'm an AI consultant, so if you need this help for your business, then you should reach out, and you have that call to action tied in. But that's the whole idea, right? Like, that is where your money comes from. So many people, when they think about money when it comes to a podcast, a lot of times, and this is all the conversations I have with people when they talk about monetization, I know immediately that 95 times out of 100, they're not talking about, I'm selling my services. They're talking about, how do I get sponsors? You're not going to make a lot of money in sponsorships. Like, CPM rates, there's a whole thing about it. We've talked about it in previous episodes. You can go and check that out. But CPM rates are not very profitable, and when you consider what you can make in a single sell for a high ticket item that you've got versus the money that you'd make from getting thousands of listeners and the work and time that it takes to get thousands of listeners, the monetization path is like very simple. It's very clear. Sell what you do. So you want to make sure that you've got that clear thing that you are selling, or you have a clear business angle that's directly tied into your business. That's why you get this purpose. That's why you get this alignment, because it's easier to sell to your target customer exactly what you do. And then beyond that, because obviously outside of making money, the other side that you need to consider is budget. What is your budget for the show? Because it's your marketing. You might look at the podcast as it's this separate thing outside. It's this side hustle. It's this other thing I'm doing in addition to being a business owner. But the podcast is part of your business. It is part of your marketing, or if not entirely your marketing. So you should have a budget or be willing to commit a budget towards it. If you can't afford it at the moment, you need to start thinking about, well, as I bring in more clients because I've got purpose and I've got this show that's growing, I'm attracting the right audience, what are the things that I'm going to need help with? What do I want off my plate sooner rather than later? You're a business owner. You got a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things to handle, and to waste your time doing editing when millions of people can do that for you is a mistake. So consider the budget, consider where you want to put that money to get your time back and put it back into the business. So that's budget, but that gives you the idea, the overview. Don't worry about sponsors. Focus on your own products and services. How are you selling those things through the show? And with all of that together, you get a pretty clear picture of why money is pillar number 2. So pillar number 3 is message. Do you own your platform? Are you the one that people are hearing from regularly? They're getting your insights. They understand that you've got real value on problems that they've got, and you can be the solution for their business. What are the things that you're talking about? Are they the problems that are all relevant to your space, your services, your products? You need to be consistent and ruthless about it, and the more that you are, the better you'll be. Who are you talking with? And that's not just the guests that you have on the show, but it's the places that you go as a guest. So what are the platforms that you're getting on? Are they the right audiences? Are you getting the right message out to those audiences when you get there? And then lastly, you want to consider, where are you sharing the show? So you want to think about the different platforms that you're on, the social media accounts. Are you managing those well? Are you posting consistently? Are you making newsletters out of this? Is it on your website? That's a big part of message as well. So when you put all of those things together, that is that third pillar. It's obviously vital for a business. I think it's kind of the flashiest thing of doing a business podcast, the flashiest pillar. So consider where message is for your show if you're looking to get better. And lastly, I want to talk about process. Process is pillar number 4, because you do all of these things. We talk about purpose. What is the show about? What are the problems you're solving? How are you branding all of that and presenting it to your public so that they understand this is what I need and this show is the solution. Then you've got the money part to fund all of this, and that's what it's all about. You want to make the money through this purpose. Okay, we've got alignment there. That is awesome. We're saying the right things episode to episode. We know exactly what we want to talk about, whether we're just getting a show started or we have an existing show. We're tightening up what we do, but we know what these episodes are going to be. We know the problems we're solving on a micro level, and we can do this again and again and again and again and again. Well, now, how do you do that consistently, right? Because you need to do the back end work that goes into making the show happen. So what is your production schedule? How regularly are you recording? Is it a set day and time? Are you doing batch episodes, or maybe you're doing a single episode? But you need to know what that is, and you need to be consistent about that. So that's an important thing. Also, how are you recording the show? Think about the different kinds of software that you use, the editing tools after the fact, not just the recording platform, but how are you getting the clips made? How are you scheduling all of this stuff to be posted on all of these different platforms? Like, how does this work get done, and who is accountable for it? Because to do these shows, the number of podcasts that I've worked on where they say, well, we're going to record on Monday, and then, we edit everything together right then and there, and we just try to get this all happening so we can get it out on Tuesday. Okay, well, what if something happens on Monday? What if you get into a car accident? Or what if you're sick? Or what if your guest doesn't show up because they just forgot? What are you going to do now? Do you have a plan for that? Do you have an answer? And odds are they don't, and the show doesn't get posted. You want to be so methodical when it comes to process, because you are a business owner. You're running a business and you have so many other things to do. And if your production process is sloppy, so you're not even posting episodes, or you're not promoting, or you're not showcasing your knowledge as much as you possibly could, you're making huge mistakes here. You're making huge losses, and it's actually hurting you with your own marketing. So you need to be efficient here so you can get that time back into your business, service your clients, all these new people that you're working to bring in through the door. So that's why you want that budget, because as you're going through this process here, these are the kinds of things that you can evaluate and say, okay, well, yeah, this thing is too long, or we need a better tool here, or whatever it might be. But there's a lot of things that you can look at and improve, which is going to affect the show. Process is really, as much as the other stuff is like spiritually guiding and grabbing attention and just being at the core with money, a process really makes all this stuff go. So you can have the best plan, the best vision, the best topics, be a dynamic host, but if you are inconsistent and the show is just not getting out, nobody knows and nobody cares. So you got to make sure that you have process locked down. So with that, think about these 4 things, how they all flow together. This vision, how this thing monetizes and makes it worth it, how you're consistently getting that message out to people and where you're getting that message out, and all the different ways that you do it on the back end to make sure that it's seamless and easy and actually helps your business and doesn't drive you insane. So those are the 4 pillars. In order to help you with this, because you might have a hard time evaluating yourself and thinking about what those issues are, I've created the Podcast Compass quiz. You can find this on our website. It's literally right there on the homepage. And the idea is we ask you questions related to these 4 pillars. You answer those questions, and it'll give you a score at the end for each pillar, how things look. And the whole idea is it's an overview, right? So whatever pillar is your weakest, reflect on that and go, okay, well, what can I do to get better? What are we doing that does work? What doesn't work? And that gives you an evaluation point. So that's the idea. Pinpoint a general area that you can work on and then go attack it. And if that means 6 months later you want to take the quiz again because you've done all that work, do it. Like, reevaluate yourself. But that's what all of this is. It's evaluation and reiteration. So check out the Podcast Compass quiz. It's in the links here for the show. So footnotes, if you're listening, podcast, YouTube in the description, but go take the podcast quiz. And once you take the Compass quiz, you get the chance for a 10-minute call with me. So I will sit down with you directly and talk about your results. That's a free call. I'm just giving you insight based on what the results were and helping you get that right direction. So go take the quiz, go think about your show, evaluate these pillars, listen back to this if you need to, and then I hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter to get more podcast insights. That link is in the show notes. And if you're feeling stuck with your podcast, let's figure it out together. Book a free 10-minute chat with me. The link to do that is also in the show notes. Talk to you next week.